right, this is going to be a position to work on some very isolated movements of the foot and ankle with a band. These are pretty common in a lot of therapy clinics, so we'll talk specifically about engaging certain aspects. This first one is going to be to try and get me to lightly engage tibialis posterior. So I'm going to focus with my foot on a little bit of a down and in motion. Really helpful if anybody's getting any lateral impingement or excessively pronating. Not the most important exercise in the world, but if you have someone who doesn't tolerate weight-bearing type movements yet, this is where they need to start. So on the floor at home, they can put a little something underneath their legs so their foot can be off the ground, right? And I have a band with a loop in it, so I'm just going to put this band around my toes. And since I want this to have a little bit more of a down and in direction, I could be next to a leg of a couch, anything that's post-like. If I were at my house, the leg of the couch would probably be it. And then here, I can start off by just wrapping it around this post. If I want to make it a little easier on my hand, I can start off by just wrapping this around a couple times so I don't have to work very hard, right? And then I can slide a little bit away. Now I want this band to be pulling me a little bit up and out, right? So ideally there's a little bit of this angle where that band is pulling from that direction. So I'm going to scoot a little bit away and forward from where that band's attached, right? Now here, as you look at my foot, this band is pulling me in this up and out so that I can pull down and in, right? And then very slowly, I'm going to come back up and out. So it's a little bit more of a diagonal motion, and I may want to try and keep this band just up around the top of my big toe a little bit if I can, right? So up and out. Now let's say that hurts. Let's say that starts to compress the outside of my ankle. Well, I'm just not going to go that far, right? So down and in. The goal for me is that this is just trying to wake up this inside strip of muscle, the medial aspect of my calf, you know, some of the muscles that pass behind the inside of my ankle to flex my big toe and flex the arch of my foot. So very slow. I want to really control this motion. Maybe even to here if it hurts if I go farther. And this is one I like to do more for time. It's not really important to count. So I mean, I would just set a timer, tell someone a minimum of a minute, a maximum of 3 to 4 minutes. This isn't going to be something that carries over to make them really strong, but doesn't wake up the right aspect of their calf. So when I start to take them into a weight-bearing position, they get the right muscle to kick in a little bit more when we work into some of our single leg balance, right? So nice and slow and controlled. The slower the better. That way you're not trying to hurry and get to 20. You're really just focused on, there's a timer right there. It's not about how much I do, but more about keeping that tension and really trying to control that motion, because you'll see this little twitching or shaking of the ankle as you try and isolate something you typically don't. So this is going to be more for plantar flexion, inversion, for the muscles that support the arch of the foot.